There's a long-held belief that monosodium glutamate, or MSG for short, has negative health effects. You might have seen snack foods saying MSG-free on the packaging, or MSG-free cookbooks, or even restaurants that say we don't use MSG on signage. What I want to talk about today is any of that really necessary? Is MSG really that bad for you? Okay, so just before we get into the rest of the video, for those of you who do not know me, I am Maddie and welcome to Maths from Lab. By the way, if you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel to see more, or you can also visit my blog. I'll put a link in the description box below. So first up, what actually is MSG? MSG comes from the amino acid glutamate, which occurs naturally in many foods. For example, tomatoes, parmesan, nuts, anything with like a really savory, almost salty flavor. In 1908, the Japanese researcher Professor Kikune Ikeda isolated glutamate from dried kombu seaweed, and then he added sodium. The resulting compound, called monosodium glutamate, is stable in powder form and could be added to different foods to add a savory umami flavor. Professor Ikeda then developed the MSG-based Ajinomoto seasoning, which became super popular in Japan and eventually worldwide. MSG started to get negative attention in 1968 when American physician Dr. Robert Herman Koch wrote to the New England Journal of Medicine. His letter starts with, "For several years since I have been living in this country, I have experienced a strange syndrome whenever I have eaten out in a Chinese restaurant." Dr. Herman Koch then goes on to describe a strange set of symptoms called Chinese restaurant syndrome, which includes numbness in the body, weakness in the limbs, and heart palpitations. He then speculates that the cause of this could be MSG, which is commonly used as a seasoning in Chinese restaurants. It's kind of amazing to me that a letter like that would get published in the New England Journal of Medicine, which is such a highly respected publication, because the evidence is entirely anecdotal and the logical link between MSG and those symptoms is really not clear. What followed was a lot of media attention and different studies looking at the health effects of MSG. On the surface, the results look quite alarming. So mice and rats given MSG showed a lot of health issues, including diabetes, obesity, cardiac problems, and neurotoxicity. But then when you look a little bit closer, you realized that the amounts of MSG that they were given in these studies were extremely high, and they don't really reflect how much MSG a person would consume normally. Another important thing to consider is that the MSG was supplied by injection or force-fed to the animals without anything else, rather than mixed in with food. The thing is, if you eat a meal containing MSG, it's really hard for the MSG to cross from your digestive system into your blood, and then again to cross from your blood into your brain. So it's really unlikely that we'd get those same effects after, say, eating some instant noodles. In fact, studies in humans have shown that there's very little evidence for negative health effects after consuming MSG, compared to normal table salt or some other sort of placebo. Currently, MSG is considered to be a safe and authorized food additive in Australia and many other countries. So in conclusion, it's amazing, it's quite scary, and it's a little bit funny that one anecdote has sparked an international sense of hysteria around something that is pretty innocuous. But on the bright side, it means that I can have my noodles and eat them too.